How to become unattractive to the narcissist. Stop being their emotional supply, of course, right? Okay. Have you ever wondered why certain people keep choosing you, draining you, manipulating you, or pulling you back into the same emotional cycle, the same unfulfilling relationship? Okay. It may not be because you're weak, you guys. It may be because you are empathetic, extremely overly responsible, forgiving, loyal, and willing to keep giving people chances long after they have shown you who they are. Okay? And today, guess what? I want to talk about how to become unattractive to narcissistic people, how to become unattractive to toxic people, emotionally, yes, unavailable people, and anyone who benefits from your lack of boundaries. Because here's the truth, you guys. The goal is not to become cold. No, that's not the goal. The goal is to become extremely clear, extremely precise. The goal is not to stop loving people. That's not the goal here, okay? All right? The goal is to stop abandoning yourself in the name of love, okay? So, thank you guys for joining me, you guys. Hello. Welcome to Trauma Talks. I am Krystal Boothe. I am a trauma recovery coach and therapist. And on this channel, we talk about trauma, healing, self-empathy, the nervous system, faith, relationships, and how to stop living from survival mode. Yes, today... we're going to be talking about how to become unattractive again to a narcissist. All right, so we gotta learn how to do it. Okay, I want to show you today. So now, before we go deeper, I want to be very clear. I'm not here to diagnose anyone in your life, but I'm talking about patterns of manipulation, emotional control, blame shifting, gaslighting, and lack of empathy, entitlement, and using your pain, love, forgiveness, or vulnerability to maintain power over you. Okay? Because that's what's happening here. And if you've been caught in that dynamic, this video is absolutely for you. Yes. All right. So what makes you unattractive to narcissistic people? All right. Let's talk about that here. Okay. Let's start here. Okay. Many narcissists or emotionally exploitative people are attracted to people who are highly empathetic. That's the first thing you need to understand. They're drawn to people who explain, forgive, rescue, overfunction, and keep trying to see the good in someone who keeps causing them harm. Yes, they may be attracted to the part of you that says, guess what? Maybe if I love them better, guess what? Maybe if I love them differently than they've ever been loved before, they will change. Maybe if I explain my pain clearly enough, they will finally understand. Maybe if I prove I am loyal, they will stop hurting me. Yes. Maybe if I keep the peace, guess what? If I stay quiet, they won't leave. Just maybe. Okay? So, none of that stuff works. Guess why? Guess why it doesn't work? Because I need you to hear this really clearly, you guys. A narcissistic person does not need more access to your empathy. That's not what they need. You think that they need more access to your empathy. They don't. They need less access to your nervous system. You get that? Because when you keep giving them your emotions, your explanations, your tears, your defense, they still have access to your energy. And for some people, your emotional reaction is the supply that they use. Okay, so let's get into it. The next part, narcissistic supply is not always praise. You think that it is, but it's not. A lot of people think narcissistic supply is only admiration, attention, compliments, or ego stroking. But supply can also be your pain. Imagine that. It can be your confusion. Yes, it can be your begging. That's their supply. And it can be your defending yourself, right? It can be your long text messages trying to prove what really happened in the situation, all right? It can be your emotional collapse after they blame you for something they did, okay? They flip that around on you. It can be your desire to make them finally understand. That is why healing requires a painful but powerful shift, okay? You have to stop giving your deepest emotional truth to someone who has already shown you they will weaponize it. Yes, weaponize your truth, okay? That does not mean your truth is not valid. It means they are not a safe place for your truth, okay? They're not a safe place. So the over-explaining, guess what? It does not work. All right, so let's become unattractive by becoming emotionally unavailable to manipulation. Emotionally unavailable to it. One of the most powerful ways to become unattractive to a narcissist person is to stop being emotionally available for manipulation. Okay? That means you no longer automatically react to every accusation, insult, guilt trip, silent treatment, or emotional bait. You don't become available to that. They say you're selfish. Oh, you might explain for 3 hours why you're not selfish. Healing you says, I hear that you feel that way. That's the heal you would say that, okay? And then you stop engaging. Simple. I hear that you feel that way. They say you're too sensitive. The old you might try to prove that your feelings are reasonable. That's what the old you might do. But let me tell you what the new you can do. The healing you says, my feelings are valid and I do not need to debate them. Okay, let me give you the next one. They say, after everything I've done for you, the old you might collapse into absolute guilt. The healing you says, I can appreciate what was done and still have a boundary. Yes, this is how you stop feeding the cycle, okay? This manipulative cycle. You become less reactive, less available, absolutely, and less explainable, less controllable, and that makes you less useful to someone who needs your emotional dysregulation to feel powerful, okay? So become unattractive by having boundaries with consequences. You get it? Okay? A boundary without follow through is just a suggestion. Okay? Narcissistic people are often not intimidated by your words. They are impacted by your consistency. You get it? Okay? So instead of saying stop disrespecting me, guess what? That's a better way to say it. If this conversation becomes disrespectful, I will end the conversation. Then when it becomes disrespectful, you actually end the conversation. That's all you got to do, okay? Instead of saying, you can't keep calling me whenever you want, you don't have to say that. Can't keep calling me for money. That's another one. I'm not available for late night crisis conversations. If you call after this time, I will not answer. Okay? Then you do not answer. Don't answer. Instead of saying, I'm tired of being blamed, you don't have to say that. You say, guess what? I'm willing to discuss the issue, but I am not willing to be insulted, blamed, or attacked. Okay? Then you disengage. When the attack, guess what, starts, what do? Okay? Boundaries teach your nervous system that you are no longer trapped. You're no longer trapped. They also teach manipulative people that your access is no longer automatic. Okay? So stop explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you. This one is really hard for people to understand because if you are a trauma survivor, especially someone who has been gaslit, blamed, abandoned, or guess what, emotionally invalidated, being misunderstood can feel unbearable. Guess what? That is many people's story, okay? Your nervous system may feel like I have to make them understand me so I can feel safe. But some people do not understand you because you failed to explain yourself. That's not the reason why they don't understand you, okay? You got to keep that in mind. They misunderstand you because understanding you would require accountability. So they don't want to understand you, okay? And now accountability is exactly what they are avoiding. They don't want to be accountable. So one of the most healing things you can say is, I do not need to convince someone of my reality in order for my reality to be true. Okay? You don't have to convince them. You don't have to go back and forth. Isn't this freeing, you guys? So let me say that again. You do not need to convince someone of your reality in order for your reality to be true. Okay? In order for your reality to be true, you can know what happened. You can know exactly what happened. You can know how it affected you. You can know what you need. You can know what you need from this person. You can know what you will no longer tolerate, okay? You can know what you don't longer tolerate, even if they deny it, even if they minimize it, okay? All right? So even if they blame you, even if they rewrite the story, yes, okay? Your healing cannot depend on their agreement. No. Your healing cannot depend on their agreement. Become unattractive by no longer performing forgiveness without safety, okay? Some of you have been taught to forgive people so quickly that you never had time to tell the truth about what they did, okay? It's okay to tell the truth about what they did. You were taught to forgive, but not how to discern. Yes, you were taught to love, but not how to protect yourself, okay? You were taught, you guys, to give grace, but not how to recognize repeated harm. You understand that? But forgiveness does not mean unlimited access. No, that's not what it means. Forgiveness does not mean pretending. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation without repentance, okay? Forgiveness does not mean giving someone the same position in your life after they have repeatedly violated your trust, okay? You don't have to give them access. You can forgive them, but not give them access. You can release bitterness and still have boundaries, okay? You can forgive and still walk away. You can pray for someone and still stop giving them access to your body, your home, your emotions, your love, your time, your children, your peace, or your future. You don't have to give them access anymore. This is not bitterness. This is wisdom, okay? So let's continue. Your nervous system has to heal from the addiction to this cycle, okay? That's what you got to understand. Let's talk about the nervous system. Let's talk about it, okay? Toxic relationships can create a trauma bond, okay? Maybe you heard of that before, okay? A trauma bond happens when pain and relief keep cycling together. Pain, relief, pain, relief. They hurt you, then they apologize. They abandon you, then they come back. They insult you, then they love bomb you. Okay? You see what? They create chaos in your life, chaos in a situation. Then they become the comfort after the chaos. Imagine that. You the comfort, you caused this. And the nervous system can start confusing intensity with love. Intensity is not love, you guys. So when you try to leave or set boundaries, it may not feel peaceful at first. It may feel terrifying. It may feel like withdrawal, okay? All right? It may feel like grief when you leave. It may feel like anxiety when you leave these people. It may feel like you are doing something wrong when you leave these people, okay? Just keep that in mind. But that does not always mean you are making the wrong choice or making the wrong decision. That doesn't always mean that, you guys, okay? So let's continue. All right, sometimes it means your nervous system is simply detoxing from chaos. So keep that in mind. This is why self-empathy is so important in this healing journey from narcissistic abuse, because a part of you that keeps going back does not need shame. That's not it. That part needs safety. Emotional safety. That part needs compassion. Absolutely. And that part needs the truth, the absolute truth. That part needs you to say, I understand why you want to go back. You're not looking for relief. You're looking for love. Yes. All right. You're looking for love. You're looking for the version of them that made you feel chosen. All right. But you cannot keep returning to the same place that keeps breaking you on the inside, okay? So let's get into the self-empathy exercise part of this. I love this part, you guys, okay? So let's do a self-empathy practice together, all right? Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your stomach. if that feels safe for you, okay? Take a deep breath and say, I'm here for you. And you can say your name there. I'm ready to listen. Take all the time you need to heal every part of your heart, mind, and soul and neurological system, and everywhere that stress and trauma is trapped in your body and nervous system. All right? Now say, I know you wanted them to love you. That's the grief part. I know you wanted them to choose you. I know that you wanted them to finally understand your pain. I know you kept trying because a part of you believed love would fix this. You thought love would fix this problem, but you're not going to abandon yourself anymore. You're not going to abandon yourself anymore. We're not doing that. We're not going to keep handing our nervous system to someone who keeps hurting us. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to choose safety. You are allowed to stop explaining, stop chasing, stop proving, and stop begging. You are allowed to become unavailable for manipulation. Take one more deep breath. And say, I am safe to protect myself. I am safe to protect myself. Okay? Signs you're becoming unattractive to the narcissist. Let's talk about that. All right? You're becoming unattractive to the narcissistic patterns when? Guess what? When you stop explaining yourself repeatedly. You stop reacting to bait. You stop chasing closure from someone who benefits from keeping you confused. You stop sharing your deepest wounds with unsafe people. You stop accepting apologies without changed behavior. You stop confusing intensity with intimacy. You stop treating their potential like it is your responsibility. Okay? It's not. Okay? You stop letting guilt make your decisions, and you stop abandoning yourself to keep someone else comfortable. You don't have to abandon yourself to keep other people comfortable. You stop believing that love requires suffering. This is when you become unattractive to manipulators, okay? Not because your light is gone. Not because your light is protected. Actually, it's because your light is protected, okay? So that's the final message here, okay, you guys, all right? So how do you become unattractive to a narcissist? You heal the part of you that needs to be chosen by emotionally unsafe people. That's the part. You heal the part of you that needs to be chosen by emotionally unsafe people. You heal the part of you that confuses chaos with chemistry. Okay, and you heal the part of you that believes being needed is the same as being loved. Okay, you heal the part of you that keeps explaining your pain to people committed to denying it. Okay, and you heal the part of you that was trained to tolerate emotional starvation and call it loyalty. Okay, you train that part and you become a person with standards, boundaries, nervous system awareness, emotional clarity, and self-empathy. Yes, okay? So this is not cold, you guys. This is healed. This is not selfish. This is safe, okay? This is not bitterness, okay? It's wisdom. So I want you guys, all right? If this video helped you, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, okay? All right? And in the comments, write this affirmation for me, okay? Write this affirmation. I am no longer available for love that requires self-abandonment. If you are ready to heal from burnout, trauma bonds, toxic relationships, or the survival patterns that have been keeping you stuck, I invite you to connect with me and learn more about my trauma-informed healing, our work that we do here, okay, at Wings of the Future. All right, so thank you guys. And remember, you guys, it is not what happens to you. It's who you decide to become. So, all right. So if you're allowed to become someone you're allowed to become someone who is no longer attracted to manipulation because you are finally loyal to yourself. You're allowed to do that. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay? Thank you.